Well, today is October 31st, 2019. This is Angela Hooper Menifield with your HR moment from Menifield and Associates. So today is the last day of October. Can you guys believe it? I can't. I can, but I can't, right? It's been a great month, a great year, but we are literally down to the last 2 months of the year. And so this is the time of year where sometimes behavior shifts, people start to miss work and do some different things because of various holidays, right? Next month is Thanksgiving, after that is Christmas. Oftentimes people want to be off and they're not scheduled to be off. So what do? They call in. So there's different ways that people can be difficult. So as such, today's topic is how to deal with difficult employees. So yesterday in one of my coaching sessions, we talked at great length with the supervisor who is really struggling with an employee who is combative, um, states things to suggest they don't know what to do, even though they've been sufficiently trained. And just in essence, it's just being difficult, saying things that are borderline inappropriate and whatnot. And so, what is the advice that I would give someone who is, managing a team member, maybe head of a committee or whatnot, but that's dealing with a difficult employee? Where number one, it goes back to a video from a couple of weeks ago, and if you didn't see that series on documentation, I really encourage you to go back and do so. But you have to document. You must document clearly what the expectations were, and then what the employee is or is not doing. Now, when we describe difficult employees, that can come with so many different meanings. And that is exactly why the documentation is important. Because again, your definition of what's difficult and my definition of what's difficult could be totally two different things. And what we always want to make sure is if we're describing something as difficult, that we really have some clear objective measures to look at that against, right? So a perfect example is, I think the conversation we were having yesterday is a supervisor is telling an employee how they want them to request leave for the rest of the year. Because again, as we mentioned earlier in the video, this is that time of year where people's requests to be off is not always approved because a supervisor or an organization is trying to balance the need of everybody while also making sure all the work gets done, right? And so this employee was told how to request that leave, and their response was, I'm not doing it, or, well, I didn't have to do that before, so I don't have to do that now. Now, as a supervisor, we can always jump to, as John would say, there are 5 levels of leadership, right? Well, the lowest level is positional. So in other words, I can always say, because I said so, that's why you're going to do it that way. But if we really want to be effective, if we really are looking to have a connection, to improve morale, to have a workplace that people have freeness of speech, but also they're not just doing what they're supposed to do out of obligation and duty, but because it's just the right thing to do, we have to build a culture of that. So my response to that is, okay, talk to me about why that is, right? Dig a little deeper. It's real easy to snap back when a person tells you what they will or will not do, but I think the best way to handle it, at least at first, if you're not really clear on what's happening, is to ask the question, so help me understand where this is coming from. What is the reasoning? Why do you feel this way? And again, some of that will be because I've never done it this way before. Okay, great. I definitely understand that and I can respect that. However, recently we made some changes within our organization. There are some new SOPs, standard operating procedures, right? And so as a result of that, everybody now has been required to do X and Y this way or to input their leave that way. So again, if the employee then, you give them whatever training they need to learn this new mechanism, if there's a system, a database or something. So again, everybody's procedures would be different, but you want to equip them. My follow-up was, and then we'll both sign off on that. So I spent whatever 10, 15 minutes, an hour, maybe working with you one-on-one. We can now both agree you know exactly how to do it and what to do. Now, the next time we ask that employee to do this way and they don't do it, now we have a different issue. Because it's no longer a training issue, which we kind of talked about yesterday, right? A difference between the can't and the ain'ts. But now it's really clear that they want to just be obstinate and be difficult. Now, I am of the opinion, and I know again, I tend to have that Pollyanna supervisory mindset sometimes, and people tell me no, that doesn't work that way. But I'm eternally optimistic. So I also believe more times than not always, that when people are being difficult and just doing things that it just feels like it's almost like, what's the reasoning behind this? They want your attention. Yes, I said it. And I want to take you back just real quick and think about children for a second, or maybe even it may be your kid, a niece, nephew, a neighbor kid, a kid in your class when you were growing up. But I think all of us remember there was like this kid who seemed to just stay in trouble. It was like if the teacher was doing one thing, they'd be over here cutting up, and then the teacher would be like, Tommy, and then they'd giggle. I was always of the opinion that this kid wanted the teacher's attention. And if the teacher was busy giving someone else their attention, little Tommy would say, oh, I'll get your attention, all right, because I'll do something bad. I've seen it with older siblings when new babies are born into the family. There was a couple, I remember in my congregation, and it was very clear to me that after the new baby was born, the older brother just was like, oh my gosh, this boy almost was like a little terror. I say that to say, oftentimes when employees are behaving in a way that seems to be distracting and negative, they want the supervisor's attention. And like children sometimes, and I'm not suggesting adults are children, but oftentimes they will take your negative attention rather than have you ignore them at all. And so when people are sometimes difficult, challenging, hard to deal with in the workplace, I always want to go back and talk to that supervisor and find out how much of your attention does this person get on a regular basis. More times than not, it's minimal to none, right? Because guess what's also true? Typically for those employees, the supervisor doesn't care for them. So for people that I don't care for or I see as a distraction, I try to avoid them. I do the bare minimum, hey, how you doing? Good morning, right? And so I always challenge them. How about you say, hey, good morning, Tommy? How did you have a great weekend? Or, give them a high five when they do something great, or commend them on something that that's important to them. It doesn't even have to be work related. I can tell you that I've seen more times than not, when we give those individuals attention, somehow the distractions seem to go down. So in other words, as the attention we give them goes up, the amount of distractions that they create go down. Because again, people are people everywhere, whether that's at work, in the home place, or whatnot. People want to be acknowledged. People want to feel important. And some people, the way they feel that way is they need your attention. They need you to notice them. They need acceptance. And again, absence of your positive attention, they'll take negative because it's better than nothing. You ignoring them in totality is like the worst thing that could ever happen to them. I mean, who's ever been given the silent treatment? I remember being given that. I actually had this conversation with my mom last night that I remember only one time as a child she would talk to me. And I wasn't a child, I was a teenager. And she gave me the silent treatment. I remember how that felt. And I was like, why won't she talk to me? It was so frustrating. I would have rather she yelled at me than to not talk to me at all. So if I'm like that, then a lot of other people are too, right? So again, potentially, I'm not suggesting always, every case is individualized, and these are general statements. But oftentimes when people are difficult, it has less to do with their inability to do the right thing, their lack of desire to do the right thing, or they're judging them as people, right? Like they're bad people. It could very well be something as simple as they just want your attention. So I want to encourage you to give them your attention. Again, modest, not oversell it, not to, make them an additional appendage to you, but give them some attention in a way that serves them, right? I am a betting person. If I were, I don't bet. But if I were a betting person, I would say you are going to find their conduct is going to improve. So This has been Angela Hooper Menifield, and this has been your HR moment from Menifield and Associates. I hope you guys are having a great week. And tomorrow is November 1st, and it's our official enrollment launch for our Supervisory Academy and Symposium. I look forward to you guys joining us and being a part of our monthly trainings, webinars, guest speakers, tools, and resources that we're putting together for supervisors. I'm honored and privileged to serve you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.